We are with Elle of the Warden's Archive, and I just felt like a natural spark of excitement for this one even before we talked, and it took us about 30 seconds to be like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're good. We'll do it. We got plenty to say here." And I was just laughing, with Elle because I just finished up a therapy session. I'm like, I gotta take this work shirt off, and then I couldn't find a shirt. And then we had this whole conversation of like, I slipped it on, and I was 5 minutes late, and I'm like, perfect. I'm wearing the little octopus. And then we had a little conversation about like, oh wait, are my nipples showing? And I'm like, oh shit, I need to go put on a bra. I'm like, do I need to put on a bra? And then, you know, as a photographer, she's works with all sorts of folks who are natural. I imagine, I wonder if you've worked with any topless or
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of
breast
topless and nipple.
cancer,
Absolutely.
surgeries, and like
Yeah.
helping the people to feel like people in their bodies and not just I
Yeah.
am my breasts, or the
Yeah.
first thing that
Yeah.
people notice when you walk down a street. And then I decided, yeah, it's honestly like men have been able to show their nips for the longest time, and we may or may not want to see them, and they get to do it anyway. So I'm
Well,
rocking it.
women's nipples are they're very sacred. So as a baby, male or female, our eyes are trained to find the nipple for nourishment. It's also a physical expression of the woman's heart because a woman's heart is so full of love and can love continuously.
Mhm.
That's where that nurturing a child comes into. So why our chest is swollen instead of flat. And so it is very healing. Your eyes will automatically go to women's nipples, male or female. Doesn't You don't have to be gay. This is still just a universal thing, and you will receive healing from looking at those nipples. So for me, I think that part of our culture wants to, minimize natural healing. Maybe that's why.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how we take something that could, yes, have objective value. Like there's a biological reason why we're all attuned perhaps to looking at women's nipples more than men, although some people may agree or disagree. And there are neutral ways of being. Things just are not good or bad, not beautiful, not ugly. And then we interpret them, we make them into something different. And then people are often punished by those interpretations, not by the thing that is. And that's a lot of what I do as a therapist, is really looking at like, what is the story we're telling around it and the interpretation we have that might be adding to the suffering. Not that you can't tell that story, not that I'm shifting you out of that assigned meaning. And it's just like, let's just look at that. Like, where did that story even come from? And do we want to keep it? Is it productive? Is it serving you? I'm all for being delusional at some points. Like, I think people who make it, they get their dreams, they write their books, they do what they say they're going to do, even through all of the blood, sweat, and tears of 2 to 7 years or however long it takes to publish something. It's like, you have to believe in yourself to the dying death. Like, you have to be your own greatest champion when no one else is. You have to believe that your work is worthy of reading and you are worthy of being seen and loved, whether people like it or not. And I think that's what differentiates people who excel at anything, even true self-love, not narcissistic delusions, but like, I'm going to paint my story the way I need to exist inside of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of delusion goes into it. I should know.
Yeah. And I like to ask a lot of the guests on this podcast, what their process is, or routines or lack of routines is with their relationship to the creative act, or even just warming up to a sense of creativity. And you were talking about how you were kind of obsessively writing, and bills are stacking over here on the pets what was it? Cage? No,
The kennel. I do. I have this cool dog kennel. It looks kind of like
kennel.
furniture.
Yep.
And when I got it, I was like, please don't make this another surface for laundry. And it instantly became another surface for for laundry. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
writing is very addictive to me. The creative process is very addictive. And I guess I have an addictive personality. I just celebrated 2 years of not drinking.
Nice.
And when I quit drinking, I had just said enough. Like my body's had enough. Like I'm just over it, and I just stopped. And then that gave me the confidence to quit smoking weed. And what happened after I quit smoking weed is my brain just lit up. Like my creative centers just came alive, and that's when I started writing like crazy. And got my first book published last year. It was nonfiction. And then I decided to pivot over to fiction. And since then, like, you know, just the normal things in life don't really get done. They just don't matter as much. Like dishes to me don't really matter that much. My husband's not going to get on me about it. So if they get done in 2 days, I don't care. I'm going to write this next chapter. And today's one of those days where I'm like, I have been at this computer 4 months. It's time to just step away and put those damn clothes away and clean the kitchen and just and then what happens in those moments is the creative centers light up again and I get more ideas. It's really
Yeah. And so it's not about, for you, it's not how to engage with the creative, you know, process, because that opened right up once you channeled that energy from other maybe energy sucking addictions to one that breathes new life into you. And also,
yeah.
okay, this is still an addiction. I'm not functioning, or, you know, I'm not brushing my teeth anymore. And so how this, then sometimes that's also part of the process, is how can you come out of that state in a way that preserves yourself so that you can come back in and do it again, or do what else you need to do that inspires the
yeah, I'm still learning that. And it's funny because as much as I've learned about self-care and things, it's I've always felt like, well, when you're in the pocket and you have the stories there, the characters are there, like it's hot, you got to strike while the iron's hot. But I've been going like that all year since January. So it's like, okay, I don't think my iron's not going to be hot if I step away for a day and put some fucking clothes away. Like I just have to get, now it's my nervous system's in like a habit, and now I have to like, you know, create new habits. I just need to create a schedule for myself, like get up, go to the gym. I can imagine that just going to the gym, it feels like, oh my God, the drive there, the time at the gym, that's all time taken away from writing. But I'm thinking, why don't you just give it a try? Because what could happen is you could have more efficient writing rather than writing and then going down a research rabbit hole or getting lost on Substack. Maybe you actually will just sit down and plow through that chapter and be done. So right. Now it's time, seriously time for me to adult in my own life and create a schedule.
What if adulting is letting your heart write as much as you want to?
Yeah, that too. I mean, I'm not going to put a lot of judgment on myself. I'm really proud of what I'm creating, and it's
all about balance.
Yeah, and I'm going to be so happy when the day comes and I'm like holding these beautiful books in my hand that I created and get them come to life. So
yeah, and maybe there's a way that we can help ourselves to embrace new adulting habits that we may not look forward to or even necessarily enjoy during the act of it. Like that's why exercise sometimes, like if I'm in a routine, I look forward to it. I'm like, yes, I'm going to listen to my music, sweat it out, feel better. But if I'm being honest, I really hate the whole journey to the mat or to the treadmill. I anticipate the worst out of it. I groan over it. And so I have to work on my thoughts of like, maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe I will like it today. For the moment, that one drop of sweat, I'm like, right on, you know. Yeah. And then if it's like, okay, if that doesn't work, maybe I can be listening to what I've already written while I'm exercising. So I don't actually have to leave it. I'm still sweating. And then I'm just going to have a clearer head and more endorphins to like have prodigious creativity when I get back.
You really gave me a lot of great ideas there. So I think the next time I have to go to the gym, I'm just going to pretend like I'm putting on my armor. I'm going to grab my sword and throw it in the car. And then I'm going to go to the gym and get on the elliptical and pretend that I'm in my jousting training. And I'm riding my horse and I'm jousting. Okay, it's jousting training. Now I'm still in my fantasy world. Now get it done.
Yeah. And then everyone gives you that really sweet look. Like they're like, oh, yeah, she has disabilities. Just be nice to her, you know. It's like, oh yeah. We won't say anything. We're all thinking out loud about her swiping, the wet with her sword. Well, if you have any ideas for me, let me know, because I don't know what works. But
music. Mark said something about music, and my mom always suggests that too. I'm so used to having a very quiet house, and I think right now that might actually be a good one for me, just to put on music and like just it's music that I can really groove to, right? Put clothes away to some music you can like groove to. It doesn't always have to be a podcast. It doesn't always have to be YouTube. I don't always have to be feeding my brain. I can play something that's a little like dopamine and have fun like while I'm putting clothes away. So that's a good idea, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, we've got some good ones, walking treadmills and music. Oh, you gotta go. Bye, Mac. Thanks for tuning in. And yes, I love music. I really love it. I usually cannot create when I'm listening to it unless it's very mellow, atmospheric, non-lyrical.
Same. I'm the same way. I really have even though I created my own Renaissance-y style instrumental music that I love, and I'll play it and I'll be trying to write a chapter and my head's thinking about the music, not when I'm writing. I'm so distracted by it. I'm like, okay, I need the quiet. I can't do it.
Yeah. But I'm like you, where thank goodness I have something that I can become fully immersed by and so engaged with that time just flies. I haven't always felt that way. Even when writing has always been my thing, there have been seasons in my life where I'm like, what's happening? It's not doing its thing. And sometimes I'm not ready, or sometimes I have, too much of my outside life clouded or filled to the brim in my schedule that I can't just dip in. So sometimes it happens, and I don't have so much of a routine as I do most of my writing in the dark. And that may not be scheduled. Like last night, I had thought about it on 4th of July that it's time I'd like to put out another post, like an article, essay, something creative, because I've been throwing my time more towards this podcast and so many notes that I like annoyed myself and I like got off for a while. Like, this is not what I want to do. So last night, just as I was like, all right, good, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to wake up feeling fresh and ready for this interview, I was like, you know what? Let me just jot down some thoughts from the day. And then I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's only midnight. I'm like, oh, good. It's only 1. And I'm like, okay, almost done. And then I went over and over and over. And it changed into every form where I'm like, I don't even remember where I started. And I don't even know what's good anymore. And maybe this is for no one. And I'm like, it's 3:42? What the hell? Like, I didn't sleep great. Make it up tonight.
For me, I never have any plans for a podcast, and if I do, they end up not really, maybe they get woven in, maybe not. It's like,
right,
we just wing it.
I know, and thank goodness I have so many drafts from the last decade, and part of that's depressing because I'm like, oh my god, how many things have I not finished in my life? And then the other part's like, it's never too late to come back and engage with it differently from a new angle. And actually, that's where more of my healing has come from. When I stopped writing things 5-10 years ago, just couldn't see it, get through it, didn't want to. And then I come back and I'm like, wow, I actually have so much to say about this in a way that's unrestricted and, unguarded and cathartic. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. Love to see it. Got a healthy dose of the 26 of you all. Someone's like, I'm late. I'm like, you know what? You are in God's
right on time.
Fine timing. This is the only part you needed to see. We were just doing it for each other. So in this podcast, I like to give people a 10-minute, which turns into 15 or 35-minute creative free writes. I'm really working on it just a little tighter every time, because people just don't want to, maybe they don't know what to do with staring at foreheads when they come on in the middle, and then yes, they did arrive too late. And they're like, what's happening? So we are going to drop a creative writing prompt into the chat. I might even give you all 2 options if one of them isn't clicking for you. I'm going to be giving Elle several options, and we'll see how much time I give for each one. And this is also really an experiment to think about our thinking as we are trying to dip into the other hemisphere of creating, and how do we navigate time constraints, schedule blocks, the bills that are pulling your mind that way, getting into the flow, staying in the flow, and then how to come out of the flow without feeling like you've lost something, interrupted something. So we do the writing together, and it's just courageous of anyone to share anything they create at all ever. I think there's a special flavor to doing it live and then having to share, not knowing what you're going to produce or whether it will receive the winning judgment that you might want for it. And we do it anyway. And that's really me just trying to help myself get into the flow and get out of the inner critic and enable others to engage with their center once we've loosened all of the thoughts that can swarm around the creative process, or no thoughts. Sometimes we're like, got nothing. And then it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to describe what the stucco of this apartment looks like until I start faces, and then maybe faces.
Yeah, you had some good writing prompts. I kind of got started on them too. So
okay, well, perfect. And so it goes without saying that nothing that we allot time for today is expected to be finished now or ever. It's really just a question of what word, what cadence, what symbol gets our juices flowing, where we are no longer thinking about the to-do list or performance, but just like, that's curious. Let me follow that. See where it goes. Maybe it goes nowhere. Who cares? Because it's not about the end result. It's about the process of just being engaged with ourselves, really. And then it's like a benefit if we can connect with other people. Like there's a writer who I interviewed on my podcast, and I don't know why. It's probably because I haven't actually warmed up my brain enough today, or the sleep thing, but something plentitudes. Oh my God. Well, just go look at the podcast episode I pinned to the top. I swear I know his name, but he said that he really only creates for other people. It's not like he would not do it if it was just for him. And he made the point of like, I know I'm supposed to say that it's just for me, but no, it's for my ability to understand myself, reflect on me through other people's lens, to create a community where we're together and not alone. And so I thought that was interesting also, what motivates us. So this can be for whatever you want or need or hope for it to be.
Yeah, you got to do number 2. You got to do the Museum of Unchosen Lives.
All right.
I'm gonna paste it in here if it's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Obsessed with it. This is a good one.
It is a good one.
Like,
and
really,
you know
really.
what? When I wrote these out last night, that was the one I liked the best too.
Yeah, that was really cool. I loved the whole imagery of it too. A museum of chosen lives.
So here we are. The prompt is called The Museum of Unchosen Lives. You enter a museum where every room contains a version of the woman or man or whoever kind of human you find yourself to be. And you look into each room, which contains a former version of yourself or the woman you almost became. So you walk through 3 rooms. Which woman breaks your heart? Which one frightens you? Which one quietly asks to come home with you? Not that you come home, but it wants to come home with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good one.
And so we've got that in the chat. Welcome to everyone. I will, I'll put it up on my screen, and maybe, you know what? I usually turn my screen off when I'm writing also because I tend to be managing some administrative things. You are welcome to keep your screen on.
Well, I already wrote my answer, so I mean I can talk about it.
You are so fast.
Right?
Hold off on that. Okay, so since you already have your answers, I didn't even get a chance to write, which that's fine because I've been writing enough lately. But before we get there, I'm going to drop you a few of the prompts, and you're just going to talk through it or give me one sentence or a lead for where you would want to pick up on it next time you're sitting down writing. And then we'll skip over until we actually give ourselves time for this prompt. And if you already wrote about this prompt, you can add on to it or switch to another one.
Okay.
So, all right. So we've got, man, I get so attached to some of these things too. And this is part of my creative process, is thinking on the fly and then getting attached to other things and then having this argument in my head out loud that doesn't lend itself well to podcasts. So here's one for you. The price of magic. Okay. Every girl is born with one extraordinary gift, but the world only allows her to keep it if she gives up something equally precious. Okay, so you're 40 years old. Looking back, what did they ask you to trade? And what, against all odds, survived anyway? So I'll drop that in the chat. And if it helps to look at it again, I'm such a visual, I have to see it for it to stick. And you can just rattle off your thoughts, or if you have a sentence ready to go, or what comes to mind.
They asked me to give up my beauty in order to have great influence, but it turns out that my influence was really the true beauty.
Yes. And it's like, what most girls that I've talked to that identify as girls, I think most of them would be lying if they said they didn't want to be beautiful or acknowledged as beautiful at some point in their lives, because that there is so much emphasis placed on beauty, the way that characters are introduced in stories and the first faces we see on film, they are painting this standard, and whether that standard is beauty or is not beauty, it's like, of course we want to be accepted, we want to be wanted, and beauty becomes social capital for is someone going to keep me? And then we grow up and mature, and many of us have had that experience where characters fall totally flat if they're only one-sided, one-dimensional. And in fact, beauty fades like everything else fades. Influence doesn't necessarily, especially in stories where people can keep it alive for generations and learn about society and each other still, like from the Iliad, So,
right.
What is your influence that you have been tracking over the past 5 years or even 2 years since you quit drinking or engaging? Was it smoking or drinking?
Both. I quit both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to drink. I mean, I live in Vegas, so I used to drink. Like, I was big on social outings. I'd go out to eat with my husband all the time, and I'd be pounding back drinks. I smoked weed from the time I woke up till I went to sleep. I mean, you could just go down the street, go to the store, and buy whatever you want in the weed store. They're everywhere here. I grew up with it. It was like normalized. And I just didn't think I could ever quit. But yeah, quitting alcohol gave me the confidence to go, yeah, you can do this. If you can do alcohol, you can do this. And I at the time, even at that time, and even now, I was doing a lot of boudoir photography. So what I've found is I've shot women of all ages, especially over 50. Most of my clients are over 50, and I just, through my lens, I don't see what other people see when it comes to beauty. I see like every woman has their own unique beauty signature, and we all have been given something very special as a woman to carry that beauty code into the world. And it is, beauty has been commercialized and packaged and programmed a certain way to keep women in boxes. When you break out of that, then that's what's funny is I feel like my influence is showing other women that you're absolutely beautiful. It doesn't matter what size your body is, what size your breasts are,
or how people make money off of you.
Or you don't have to be capitalizing on your beauty to be beautiful. It's just who you are. You're a woman. You have feminine energy, and that feminine energy is beauty. It is a beauty code of its own. And so in my sessions, I'll start with a meditation. It's usually pretty short, but it's just enough, because the longer ones were always making women cry. And I was like, no, you just got your makeup done. So, like, let's get it to where you just can feel, it's just getting women back into their feels. Get out of your head and get into your body. Your body has a lot of magic in it. I mean, it's literally created to create life. And you don't have to just create life with your body. You can use that energy to create all sorts of things. So I would say that it's so interesting that I would say giving up beauty for influence and then being an influence about beauty that isn't a commercialized type of beauty. It's the natural, divine, feminine type of beauty.
Well, and it's almost like taking back the power just with derogatory words that people have been called, and then they use them within their own culture. And it's like, we're taking this back. You can't have this over us. You just made hundreds of billions of dollars off of us in the last decade, and we paid for it. And we were, the recipient of this cycle that seems to not always benefit, or mostly not benefit us. And I appreciate that you're expanding this definition of what beauty is. And, someone said that attitude is, has a huge effect on beauty. That was Frederick. And it's true. I mean, I think
that's true too, but I'm at the place where I even respect the bitch. I respect the bitch a lot of times more than the nice girl, because I tell you what, when you center in your power and you just you have boundaries, people are still going to try to come at you and bulldoze over your boundaries because you're a woman. And when they say bitch, what does that really mean? Think about it. It's like, all right, someone's standing their ground. I mean, now, there are some immature, nasty women out there that can, I'm not going to say they're nasty. I would say they're maybe in immature feminine archetype, because I just don't, that's what I believe it is. We learn certain things, we grow, and we can move into different archetypes of ourselves. But the bitch is fucking powerful. The bitch is Kali. The bitch can call in some hell. She can raise hell on earth if she wants to. So,
and she does. I want to ask how many of y'all had your own Kali bitch phase. And I sure did, and people did not like it. And here's the differentiation that I'll make is sometimes that bitch does need to come out to protect in imminent danger, or, I think it's also a starting place for a lot of deeply repressed swallowing of the world around you and not making a peep about what you're experiencing.
Oh my God, which is so funny, because that absolutely brings me into our writing exercise that you
amazing.
So dovetails perfectly into that, because I almost cried when I saw that writing prompt, which is why I knew I had to pick it, because it got me right in the feels. But I'm walking into the museum, and there was a version of me that was so angry about everything that I gave, about being the nice girl, about just serving everybody around me, um, and never, like, getting back what I expected. This is going to make me popular, or this is going to make me whatever. It was my own broken issue. But the way
Mhm.
that I ended up dealing with it is I started to train in mixed martial arts. This was like in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. I started training Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and boxing. And I just had all this anger, this red hot anger that I just wanted to, like, get out in training. And so I see this version of me in the museum who took a career path in fighting, and it didn't go so well because, honestly, I was angry, but I didn't want to beat up on women. So I wasn't a good fighter. I didn't have some killer instinct that wanted to brawl. I just had so much pent up emotion and needed an outlet for it. And so I see this, she frightens me because it's so the opposite of who I am. It was just a way to, like, deal with stuff at the time, and I took it really seriously. I was training all the time. I was training daily. I was taking on fights. I didn't win my fights. I was not a good fighter.
That's fun.
But I
Yeah.
see that version of me who was like, yeah, no, she was really serious about it, and she was gonna go, as far as she could go with fighting. And I see that version of her, and she's frightening. She's very inner masculine. She's got walls up. She's like, fuck all the way off.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, the question comes up for, like, there's no doubt in my mind that there's a time and a place for this Kali burn the whole world down, like, I'm going to start a new rage that just clears the forest floor for new creation to begin. And where's the line of, it's like there are every emotion, I would argue, is valid to feel and honor and give space for and express. And then it's like, where's the line of how much you bitch out before people decide, I don't really, and it's not the people that you needed to make boundaries from necessarily, but
Right.
it's the people you love the most. They're like, yeah, I'm not coming with you.
Yeah.
And the pendulum swings. It tends to go from passive for a long time, push it down, boom, at some point, like a prodigious biblical dumpster fire boom, and the likes of which I have experienced and cultivated a couple times. Some things happen to us, it's not our fault. Then we make choices. We can have empathy for the choices. And also, those choices do have sometimes permanent consequences. And so it's like, how can I come back to center once it swings from passive to aggressive? And then, this shame and silence and disappearance to no, I'm going to be back out there and give my voice its dues. It's really a question of how do we honor all of the parts of ourselves without condoning dysfunctional, abusive dynamics for ourselves and for us being the recipient of this.
Really powerful exercise that I found did a lot of healing was to go back to past versions of myself that I had harsh judgment against, and just sit with her and give her love. Like, in my mind's eye, just picture where we're on the ocean, and I see her and I hug her and I go, I know where you're at right now, and there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're gonna make it through this. A lot of your dreams and prayers are going to come true. And I know you want it right now. Just kind of like pouring love into versions of myself that, I used to just, oh, well, what if I just having harsh judgment against, or the same exercise would go for just having repeated events that happened in my life that would come and kind of haunt me randomly throughout the day, something in my childhood or something growing up. And just in my mind, going back into that moment and being the version that I am now, having my own back. and like playing it in a different way has been also another really great healing exercise for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done similar exercises where you write out every offense that you've committed against yourself or others. And again, it's not that you condone it, but like what you're talking about is showing up as a loving caretaker to our child parts that maybe had that, though it was inconsistent for whatever reason, maybe never had that, maybe it was very codependent and a roller coaster, and offering, a validating, loving, contained response for what they're going through, which may not be rational. You know, sometimes kids, 4-year-olds, they might have a tantrum that they can't have 7 popsicles for dinner and then scream for 45 minutes through the grocery store. It's like, okay, you're going to have to learn how to do it differently if you want anyone to come around you. And I totally get it. Like, damn, why can't we live in a world where we can just eat 7 popsicles and heal cancer that way instead of it having it to be broccoli? Like, man, I get that. I totally get that. Love you so much for that. And maybe we can take this outside and go punch the air, you know, where we're not going to bother people so much. Like, I had to take myself into the desert. I had to take myself to Hawaii by myself. Didn't know anyone, met people along the way. They healed me because I came out of that initial just burn it the fuck down. Don't give a shit. If people don't like it, be gone. And then you come back and you're like, okay, I wasn't actually rational or grounded, and fuck, people are gone. You know, they took me seriously. I was just emoting, and so words matter, presentation matters. And me as a therapist, I am thinking about dialectical behavioral therapy, and absolutely there is a way to pick the right time for expressing our deepest concerns.
Oh yeah, I've done emotional release. I did some like tantric work where I went to an emotional release ceremony, and they taught you these different tools of emotional release, and that was a period of my life where I needed that a lot. And I just had to get it all out so that I could like work on my life in a clear way and not have emotions constantly taking the driver's seat.
Right.
And it would be like drives out to the desert and just screaming in my hand, screaming in the pillow, throwing rocks, you know, throwing my own little tantrums out in the middle of nowhere just to like just to move it out.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Come back to the base, come back to home base and figure this out like an adult.
Yeah. And so there are ways to go back and have that conversation with the parts of yourself. It's like, I love you. I validate this pain. I'm not going to let you do this and that. It's going to hurt you. We don't run into traffic. You won't make it out. So let's think of where can we discharge this energy so it doesn't hurt you, doesn't hurt other people necessarily, right? And I mean, of course, we're all going to walk through life hurting and disappointing people if we're human, on this earth. It's just a question of how much can I consciously reduce the collateral damage, really, of a grenade going off. And we have a lot of choices we can make, and then sometimes things just happen to us, and sometimes shit hits the fan and we go with it. And the people I felt the most healed by were those who got that. Like, yes, I've been there, and you will find a way to do it differently. If you don't, I may not be with you for the rest of your journey. And I can absolutely tell you, I made a way bigger mess before I learned my lessons too. And here's what helped me. You know, you don't have to be perfect all the time, but just don't be irresponsibly vicious either. You know?
Yeah, collateral damage.
Just that was for the journal. Burn that siege up, not the village. So,
well, back to the writing prompt.
Yes.
I wanted to share. There's the version of me that that breaks my heart. That's the mother. There's a mother version of me that I feel like I was sold a story about motherhood that was a complete lie. That there's this, I see this version of me who became a mother and who is really satisfied, and it's a beautiful experience, and it breaks my heart because as I'm here now in my 40s and didn't get that path. And I even wrote a book about about the pain of losing pregnancies. But I was sold a different story. You know, I was, from the time I was a little girl, always hearing about how shameful it is to be pregnant, which I think is so silly now because that's how we all got here. Somebody had to make a decision. Nobody came from a test tube. We all came from a woman who made a decision. I mean, for the last 55 years, it has been, you know, you can go down to the clinic and you know, terminate. So we had a mother who decided, I'm going to have this baby, named you, and did their best to raise you. And I just feel like that version of me is a version of me that is almost the truest. Just the, like a, would it have been hard? Yeah, but it wasn't what I was sold, and that breaks my heart. Is that I was somebody gave me a different picture of motherhood than what it really is. So, yeah.
Absolutely, totally, and as if it's like, of course, it is so important, but feminism for centuries has been asking the question: how important is that my only way of showing up in a caring and influential way to the world? And I think generally anytime there is this should statement, an expectation, a standard set by somebody else for us, it's gonna lead to disappointment in some way. And I wish the society of our future wouldn't make a vow to never use should statements, but at least an agreement to monitor them, be mindful of them, and consider the impact they have on everyone in our periphery.
Right. Everyone having their own human experience and being able to decide on their own, you know, not you spoon feeding them a story about what it is and what it isn't.
Yep. And also, you know, people responding with their societally, like culturally or politically appropriate training of what is the right thing to say or not say to this person who just got pregnant. And it's like, congratulations. And then you're also not considering that maybe for them it's not a congratulations, or maybe maybe they lost it and they were relieved, right? If you tell someone about a miscarriage, maybe there's room for, I'm no longer trapped inside of someone else's story that I didn't maybe choose, or know that I would feel this way. I have been on kind of both ends of feeling the opposite emotion of what I thought I would feel in either situation. And I really noticed it a lot when I was like scared or sad or holding a secret inside, and people lit up like, right, you're supposed to be happy, right? Like, are we happy? And, or, you know, and so I think even that just, it's like allowing ourselves, yes, to feel whatever comes up, regardless of whether it's been drilled into us of, how we're supposed to.
Yeah, which was interesting is one of your writing prompts that really like hit hard too was saying, what would it be like to wake up in a day where women are sacred? And that's where if women were really sacred and revered and treated that way, that's exactly the first thing, is that people would hold space for us. They're not going to assume that there's a happy reaction when you announce that you're pregnant. They would just be like, okay, just hold space, just not interrupt, just let you have your field. There's a lot that goes into making a child. Your whole entire life and body and spirit and everything is changing in that moment. And so I definitely agree with you that there should just be like space to allow feeling.
Right.
And that being said, if women were really sacred and revered, it would probably be a much easier world to bring a child into. Not such economics, like the economics of it is very scary for someone to try to bring in a child, and they work at Olive Garden. Like, are you kidding me? And they have to try to support themselves, and
Very hard.
they don't necessarily have a man providing for them. Well, if we were sacred, we would be provided for. We would have the space to be feminine, which is feminine energy is not waking up every day and it's not the construction type of productivity. That's kind of a masculine energy. Feminine energy, it's on when it's on, but then we have monthly cycles. So we cycle up and down every month. There'll be times where we need more sleep. There'll be times where we need more creative time. We're more of the shopping, nurturing. I could see us being in groups and circles coming together. World where we were treated sacred, we would be with other women every day, working together, like creating things together. And I would think if we were truly sacred, it would be much more of an exciting world to bring in a baby, because it would be supported. It would be absolutely supported, which is like a different experience altogether than someone who's pregnant and like, oh shit, how am I going to do this? It's more like,
it's something that it's like we're communal. We have ripples of support, different tiers of support, and we, give birth and heal and die best in communities, even in communities where it's like, okay, you want to go do that alone. And as a community, we will honor that boundary, but we're here for you. And we're not just going to say, maybe, how can I support you? But we've already got systems set up to support you, because we know all of the most predictable psychological, physical, and mental health crises that could hit a female before, during, and after giving birth, and in those first formative years of just exhaustion, sleep deprivation. You can't just miss out on work. You got to go. Guess what? Your boss isn't going to be patient all that long. And then you've got judgments from society that just are so quick of like, well, should have put a condom on, or, well, why weren't you protected? All of us liberals here, we didn't have kids because we thought about the future. And it's like, it's none of y'all's business. And so they're like, well, why is it my business to pay your damn taxes for you? I'm not going to pay for your education. I pulled myself up, and it just goes. And then we're out of that shared
and it minimizes you. Like someone's taking and minimizing a situation that they have no right to do that. I do talk a little bit about that in my book, Born from the Ashes too, as women hear they hear the audacity of some of the things that people say to women who have had miscarriages blows me away. Just because it wasn't seen by somebody else. It's really one of these levels of grief that doesn't get the attention that, like, well, if you lost a baby or if you lost a loved one and there's a funeral, but there's this bond that happens in your body. There's like this spiritual click. There's this physical complete change. Once you look at a stick that's changed in color and says you're pregnant, like everything is changing on every level of you. And to have that ripped away is like it feels like losing a family member, losing a body part. It's very, very, very intense grief. So one thing that Linda had said, which I really liked, is she said the holding space does sound kind of cliche, like AI made it up, but it's viscerally true. When we get the best from masculine energy, when we get presence, when men hold presence, not eyes tracking around, they're on their phone, they're thinking
about what this girl's prettier, I want a bone.
When they're right there with you and they're just present in your space, that holding space is the most powerful thing that the masculine can give to the feminine. It's absolutely beautiful. And so, holding space too, you get to a certain point where you don't fucking need people to hold space for you, but it's all growth. And to come into a circle or having relationships where people will honor that and hold space for you is tremendous for growth. It really is. It's finally like, oh, finally I feel like I'm being seen and heard, and you're not reliving patterns of trauma that you got, from childhood. It's very healthy. It's a very healthy thing.
It's honestly just that, just witnessing with care You don't have to know how to fix it. You don't have to know what to say. In fact, really, you don't really need to speak at all. Maybe at some point it might be nice to process some things, but it's just, I think that exercise that went viral on the internet of, can you stare into a stranger's eyes for 4 minutes and then talk about what happened? And everyone's like, this is dumb. Okay. And I've even watched people go through their rotating door of coping strategies, defense mechanisms, to be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. That's gay, right? They'll use these names that become derogatory. And it's like, whoa. So just because you're not comfortable sitting with your own emotions shouldn't mean that I can't do it with mine. But it's really just, it requires people to confront and challenge their own insecurities of what society is telling them they have to be. I'm a man, I need to be strong for others. I need to grieve silently. I can't show my tears. I need to fix this woman's house. I need to be adoring in all of the ways, even and especially when she's totally pregnant and we haven't had sex in months, and I just have to be that. And then that's what causes people to fracture off into these secret lives where it's like, well, I'm not only that, and how do I get to be these other things? It's like, if we can allow ourselves our own emotional experience and our own vulnerable journeys with maintaining the status quo, or how we want to push against it. This is a long-winded answer to just say, just witness. That's a good place to start. And if it's uncomfortable, that's okay. That's part of it. And you don't have to stay forever. You don't have to be cemented in the room with me, for
Right.
It's like, there can be boundaries on the witnessing, but it's like, when I had cancer in August, and it was like, no hair, no eyebrows, sweating, in menopause, just the opposite of anything sexual, when I had spent a lifetime of being very easily sexualized, objectified, just like I got doors opened for me. I got jobs. It's like I was a hostess. I got this attention, and then boom, you are sick. And even the people who love you, maybe they wouldn't say that they don't want to fuck you or that you're not attractive or lovable in all these ways. But I would walk down the street and no one would even look at me. Like, I had gone from being someone that maybe people would look at or stay at, even if she's not saying anything interesting or eloquent. She's got the face. So, and then all of that was stripped away. And of course, I knew I had other talents and things that I enjoyed. But at that point in time, I really lost like everything at once. And all I could do was just get through the day without maybe thinking too much about suicide, just like one day at a time, one day at a time. And no one knew what to say or do. Everyone tried. And there were a lot of things that helped, but it was the moments when my best friend flew across the state and she made food for me and cleaned, and then just put her face on the carpet next to mine under the dining room table, and we just stayed like that for like 2 hours, and she didn't have to do or say anything. And I'm like, those are the moments in Nevada and Hawaii with strangers of just, can we be with it without a solution ready at hand?
And it goes both ways too. It's not like we're just asking this of our men or asking this of men. Like, we need to be able to give it to men. Men have absolutely no safe space to be vulnerable, and in so many relationships now, they still don't have any space to be vulnerable. And as if we're comfortable in our emotions, we should also be able to be comfortable doing the same thing, holding space for somebody else to do what they need to do in their space emotionally, and hold back judgment. Take on the observer archetype, where you just move yourself out of your own body and watch this other human being. You just remove yourself from that. And that tool has helped me many times, being somebody who can feel like, if somebody's got a lot of emotions, it's kind of like getting into my field. I had to learn some energy practices so that I'm not taking that on, because I'm just, you need
a lot.
Your space too. You need that space to process what you need to process. And it
Mhm.
like, my emotions should not interfere with that. I don't
Right.
need to,
Um,
try to fix anything right now. So,
and you're
yeah,
human, right? And I'm sure all of us have had moments where, with the best of intentions, we were not able to hold it. We were not able to align with our ideals of how we want to show up. There's
absolutely.
grace for that too. There has to be, otherwise we'd all be dead. Like, who has not done something stupid, irritable, said something that they didn't even mean, and then we
Yeah,
have to.
it's a good, you even said it here, challenging skills. Every skill that I'm giving you is not something that I just woke up with and started doing. It took years of practice and failing and not, but I just kept at it. I just knew that was it. This is correct. This is the right thing. And I'm not going to be perfect every time. But,
Mhm.
that's, I think actually because I've done all that energy work, it has put me in a place of just feeling very whole in myself, and which has come across in my writing. Like I'm at a good place to write. Any other point in my life when I was just working through these things, being just an emotional bag, emotional baggage with more emotional baggage, there was
Well,
like nothing that could really come through. I was just numbing myself and trying
yeah.
to erase myself in a way so that I didn't have to deal with it. So yeah, they are challenging skills. They do take practice.
Yeah, and I like the mention of somatic movement too. That's why I went into that form of therapy, to receive it and offer it, because it slows the body down. It slows the mind way down. We're not going to engage with the story. We're going to engage with the body that is holding, and it's been holding for decades, for who knows how many people, and how many, like siphoning energies that we're not even aware of. And I mean, that could be spiritual, or it could just be like, what is the quality of the air today, and what am I inhaling, and what are these toxins, how are they affecting my own ability to be with myself? And somatic experiencing slows it all down. In fact, it would argue that at least 80% of the time, if not 100, the story doesn't matter. The body can still heal. Of course, we're in a world of stories. So what story you create is going to matter a whole lot, because that's your interpretation and the suffering that you then sit with or don't sit with. But it's like, if we can just get out of the rapid, I need to fix it, I need to be this, I should have done that already, should have, you could have, all the garbage of, these unrealistic expectations. Like, can I just be here for 5 moments with a hand on my chest, and that's enough for right now. And if I don't have it to give, then let me not be the one to say, yes, I've got you, over and over and over, until I close up and then I create a mess for others, because I didn't mind, my body when it was saying what it needed.
What was something I want to go back to is when you were talking about eye gazing. You didn't actually use the term eye gazing, but you were talking about, can we just sit with another adult for 4 minutes and not say anything and just gaze into their eyes? This is a very powerful exercise. Of course, if you're addicted to dopamine, you're addicted to something hitting your brain right away. But if
Mhm.
you slow down and breathe and connect with another human being's eyes while breathing, after 4 minutes, what happens is your body starts to release oxytocin. Oxytocin, unlike dopamine, lasts for days. The sky is so blue. The music sounds different. It's the feeling of like, I'm in love. And we get that from presence and connection with other human beings. But we're trained through algorithms, through social media, through life to go for the quick dopamine. We're in and out, Tinder, swipe left, get a fuck in, move on with life. And it's like cheap fast food human connection compared to gourmet food, like
Mhm.
savor the deliciousness. Like it is so delicious. And when I frame it that way, a lot of people will say, okay, I'd give it a try. Is it going to be uncomfortable the first time you do it? Yes. Just like
Mhm.
any of these other energy tools, it's not going to be comfortable when you do it. But when you're done, what maybe sometimes you'll cry. First time people eye gaze, sometimes they just can't help but cry because there's somebody standing in front of them,
It's
giving
true.
them pure presence,
Like,
pure,
it's
which they
the
like.
first
I've
time
never
ever.
felt it.
Mhm. Like maybe a caretaker did that when we were infants that we don't have memory of, but most of us have never been in an exercise like that, and all of us would say, yeah, that's abnormal and uncomfortable and just, yeah, it's weird. And when you get past the strangeness of it, it's like, okay, we are no longer in the story of how we're presenting ourselves to others, and we cannot do much to change the story of what they're thinking about as they look at us and take us in. And we could get in our heads about, eyes being the window of the soul, and will they really see me, and will they love me or keep me, or what if I let them in and then it's not safe? All these thoughts we wrestle with, and then then you eventually flow into a different rhythm where it's like now you're co-regulating, whether you don't even realize it. You're breathing in a similar pace. You're stabilizing the energy in the air around you, the hormones, our pH balance. And it's man, I'm sorry, you said something that I was wanting to loop back around to, but I think it's allowing ourselves to be seen probably more deeply than we may ever be witnessed in our lives, because we can't react, we can't fix it, we can't run away. We're just here. And that means someone's going to see us flipping through a whole range of emotions that we may not want someone seeing in us. And then that's also where the Me Too comes in, of like, now we're together. Like, I don't have your history, I don't have your stories, but we are in this space no longer divided, and just takes that kind of healing community to step in for each other a little more often.
Yeah, it's powerful. There's Cody asked an interesting question about energy vampires. I know it's kind of a pivot, but since we're talking about energy,
okay. Yeah.
like he asked, do they think they know what they're doing, or basically like, do they know what they're doing? I don't know. Like some energy vampires, maybe.
Does someone have to know that they're manipulative in order to have the same consequence of manipulation? Do they have to be aware that they're doing it?
Sometimes it's just a pattern that they learn for survival, and that's how they feel like they got to feel in control, and they have to, talk over you and keep the conversation, be the last word, and hound you all the time, no matter if you say no. I'm trying to think of examples of energy vampires like that. Just,
I mean, yeah, I don't know if the term has a specific significant, like, meaning for,
right.
Do they know they're doing it and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to take your shit and I'm going to justify it and you owe me more? And also, is it that they don't want to cultivate more reciprocal ways of caring? Or
I'm a hard one to answer that question, because if I sat here and just tried to be an energy vampire, it would drain me. Like it would drain me to try to like pump up the energy to be in a room and try to siphon other people's energy with it. It is, to me, it seems absolutely exhausting. So do they know that they're doing it?
I imagine
go with
through life exhausted a lot of the time.
Yeah, maybe. That's hilarious.
Like, ironically, that's a lot of work. I mean, they're working overtime, even if most of us would not consider that a respectable job. Like, at one point in time, they did have to do that to get their needs met, which is how it was reinforced.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all have moments in our life, adolescence, early 20s, now, next year, where it's like, okay, people are holding a mirror back, and that may or may not be any kind of objective truth. But if there's a pattern that enough people are seeing and it's robbing me of having the kind of relationships that feel really good and sustainable, let's adjust. But I do think it's a question that differentiates people from being emotionally immature or childlike into adulting. Is I had no choice in what happened to me, and how do I want to respond now in a way that aligns with who I want to be for myself and others and where I want to go? And am I ever going to get there if I keep acting up in these ways?
This is such an important conversation, Jamie, and I'm glad we're having it, because typically when we get on these Substacks or we get on these podcasts on Substack, we're always talking about writing and writing, and all the things about writing, the process. And when we talk about energy, now we're talking about my literal magic system in Ethara. We're talking about why I am writing fiction is because these powerful tools that I learned in life, these powerful energetic tools that have made me who I am today, that I just could not get across to people in nonfiction. It didn't matter how I wrote it. Nonfiction was like, it was already metabolized. It was already on the page. It was, people were glazing over it. But somehow when I embed it into fantasy, it can be metabolized in a different way. And so it's energy is really important to the writing process as well. So many writers talk about getting writer's block. When you have writer's block, you have body block. Your body is blocked. Your energy is blocked.
Totally.
It's not just, you can't come up with an idea. You're infinite. You have infinite ideas.
Your soul is outside of yourself, or it got pinched somewhere, or whatever.
And it's time to move. Like what Linda says, it's time to move your body. Like, you know, the somatic exercises. It's time to step away. It's time to like disconnect from that and connect here for what you need. What ultimately do you need to move in this moment? So this is a great, beautiful conversation that we're having, because because of all of this is how I got to who I am today, how the Warden's archive and all the writing that I'm doing is I'm able to create like this because when I needed to, I paid attention to these energetic tools, applied them to my life religiously. Like, I knew they were hard. Yes, there was catastrophic times that it didn't work, but I just figured, okay, that's the universe testing me to make sure that I'm going to keep on this value, these principles that I have. And that's all I got to say about that.
Dad, thank you. We have checked the box of the mission of this podcast, which is just answering the question or continuing to sit with the question of what happened to you that made the creative act necessary for your life. Why do we write? Is it just to, get our feelings out and then move on? Is it to make something beautiful where there was ash? Is it because the story can't end there? Is it because creativity is central to being connected and alive, actually? Right?
A lot of it too, and I'm just saying this, I'm not pointing this out to any specific fantasy writer, but as somebody who chose fantasy and understands the genre, a lot of times our real life is something we definitely want to escape, and becoming a fantasy writer gives you the perfect outlet to immerse yourself in a different world that you can just completely hyper focus on and separate from what's really going on in the world. Where I would challenge that is a lot of times when I'm reading those fantasy stories, they don't have the same emotional impact. So I'm not anchored into the story. I'm glazing over it. I don't end up finishing the story, or I don't get into it. So if there's fantasy writers out there who can recognize that, or be, mature enough to see, that's true. When I have to go sit in my real life, it's kind of painful. What you're going to find is, I want you to think about the phoenix for a moment. The phoenix that will be this beautiful bird rising from the ashes, but then it crinkles down and it gets pretty ugly and ashy and sheds all of its feathers and then finally just crumbles down. Do that in your life. Sit with your pain, sit with your life, sit with things that are uncomfortable, journal about them, and phoenix the fuck out of your life. And what happens is, when that bird comes back up and is reborn, your fantasy completely changes. Your characters, you now have emotional anchors that you can add into your writing that's going to completely change the reader's experience.
Yep. If we don't go into all those rooms and sit with all that is there, that is how superficial the story of our lives and our art is going to be. And you're right that for most people, we go to the movies to escape our lives. What makes us love the movies? A hero's journey, often, that has major hellacious conflict, and then Star Wars battling it out for the last 45 minutes or hour and 45 minutes. And it's like, okay, we actually would not care about any of the battles that they're having if we didn't care about what's at stake, what they're fighting for, and if there wasn't some chance that they may not make it out alive. We're like darkened that way. We're like, well, they're gonna die, right? Oh my God, they did it! Amazing, you know. But it's like we need conflict for a good story, and so then it's about not like the types of writers, and I suppose just the type of person that I am, I can naturally gravitate to the very dark places. And that doesn't always mean melancholy, because I think I experience, good balance of joy too. I've just had a tremendously out of like ratio of clusterfucks, self-caused and otherwise. And for me, it's easier to just drop in and talk about that with anybody. I would rather, not that I only want to talk about death and trauma and substance abuse and, poor me. And it's like, I talk about it because I need to get it out so I can move through. And I go to the writers who tell the absolute nasty truth, where you're horrified for them and you don't even know if you want to keep reading, but you're like, oh, they're actually pretty endearing and charming, and I'm in this far, so like they better turn it around or something. But it's the people who were able to turn it around that survived just gutting, like loss after loss, and they're like, you know what, you may never heal like we think or want. You're not going to get that person back, and you can still make something that benefits you and others, which is one of the ways that, it's like the 6th stage of grieving, where we then dedicate it to service or make a beautiful piece of art, not just for people to stare at a museum, but also to contemplate their own emotions and lives and where they want to go with it. But most people do not seek out memoirs about that subject, especially maybe when they're already in it. It's too overwhelming. But it is so much more accessible for people to engage with that when you give them something a little bit more removed from their actual life, and almost trick them into like, gotcha, but we're still humans and dealing with all this stuff. But it's also just more fun. So I think there's certainly writers here that agree with that approach. And
yeah, it's funny because we started off talking about how we need to reframe our own attitude around, getting to the mat and stretching, getting to the gym and working out. Like, let's make it an adventure. Let's make it a fantasy trip on its own. Well, it's the same when you have stuff in your life to deal with that you don't want to deal with. It's looking at it in a different way and framing it in a way that once you get through it and you get to the other side, your writing is going to level the fuck up. It is going to way level up. What happens in your real life is always going to reflect and be a parallel to what your writing is, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. What you've learned in life, what you've metabolized, what you've healed, what you've overcome, what you've been through, the pain you've been through, the horror that you've been through, all of that can become a process in your writing that gives you your own author voice, your own signature, and will always give readers an experience that they're going to benefit from, that they're going to anchor into. So yeah, I always been wanting to say that for a while, but
and that's why it's like it doesn't even matter necessarily what the point of it is. Maybe don't only write to-do lists or what your socks feel like. Try to dabble a little bit into some emotional expression, at least for your own relief. The people, you don't have to be like, I'm going to create this amazing work of art to benefit yourself or someone else. I agree. I am my best self just from putting words down on a page, because I'm not always aware of what's going on in my subconscious process. And I'm not always likely to put emotions down if I know I'm going to craft it for presentation later. And so it's like, just start anywhere, go until your hand hurts or you're not that interested in it anymore. Maybe come back, maybe don't. But that awareness that is generated just from self-reflection, like a lot of people come to therapy not for someone to solve their problems for them, but because they figure it out on their own as they're talking through it and hearing themselves say things that they've never said before to anyone else.
Yeah, as people who are verbal processors, that's me. I'm a verbal processor.
Well, it lends to your strengths. I mean, were there, I mean, thank you so much for reminding me. I was like, oh, yes, we agreed not to take that time to write, and we're just going to get into it because, yeah, it steals
Yeah.
time from my. But of the other prompts, were there any other sentences or questions that got you going? We've got about 20 minutes before I'm back to work here. So,
Well, the only one was there was another archetype of me in the museum, the one that wants to come home with me. And this is the healthier, younger version of me who got sports scholarships, finished school, probably in, was studying writing, and she's very bright. She had this version of me, got to do the sports, got to do school, and yeah. Anyway, that's the version of me that I feel like would want to come home with me. Kind of simple, but I had a rough time right around my teenage years. My parents divorced. I didn't quite have the support at home around sports, even though I was really good at softball. Like I probably could have easily gotten a softball or a swimming scholarship had I had, adults in my life that were having me focus on that. But I was kind of able to live in the small town and be feral, ride my bike, and just kind of do what I want. Didn't have anybody really helping shape that for me. So by the time I did get into school, I didn't have any sports to connect to, and I couldn't sit still, and I was really frustrated with math. Oh my God, math frustrated me so bad that I ended up just quitting and backpacking around Europe for several months. I think I was like 21 when I did that, and no regrets. Backpacking at 21 is a really great experience, and I highly recommend it for young people.
same.
But there's still, to me, I did not see that. Like if I was the 15, 16-year-old version, right now talking to you, she would have thought, I want to go to college and get a degree, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to write, or yeah. And so
Yeah. Yep. And so many people beat themselves up for not having that experience or for doing something that they can't undo. And I think all of it can be crafted into the most beautiful story, so long as you keep picking up your pen. It's like, so maybe I'm 40 and I'll go backpacking for the first time. And maybe that has all kinds of other revelations that I wouldn't have had as a 20-year-old, maybe it's not too late. Every writer, and you have answered this in so many ways, and I might see if I could, and you've probably had to do this many times, but the book or the series that you are working on right now, every writer perhaps has a question that keeps circling around. Like, I write to figure things out. I do not write because I have the answer, right? So what is your book about, and what is the central question you find yourself circling around most now through your protagonist or the foils or the guides?
no, it's my main series. I don't have an answer right away, right off the top of my head. It feels like I'm embedding a lot into it, but what am I trying to work through? It is.
Or the question that refuses to leave you alone, that keeps pulling you back into the writing?
I have a difficult time with taking my protagonists and dropping them in the mud. A lot of you guys are, dark fantasy writers on here. I probably have more dark fantasy writer friends in the community than I do with the cozy ones. And when I run my stories through just my own like arc formula, everything stays above the gray. And I keep asking that question, like, where is it going to benefit my protagonist to have the rug completely pulled out from under her. And how is that going to play out in the story? And we've all had the rug pulled out from underneath us. You know, we've all had that experience in life. It's just like gut wrenching. Something horrible happens. Mm-hmm. And as a writer, like, I mean, I've had that, you've had that, but that's the question because right now I am in the process of rewriting my first manuscript. I'm submitting chapters to my editor, chapter by chapter. And I'm at that point where I'm getting really close to that area of the book where this is going to have to be rewritten. And I really struggle with that. With all of my stories, I really struggle with just taking and dropping them into the dark, which they need to do. They have to get it. So I do it in such a pretty gentle way. And I think it's a question that keeps coming back to me. How am I going to do it? What's it all gonna look like, and why? And it's a loaded question. The question is a loaded fucking gun with a lot of other questions behind it.
Yeah, because now you are having to directly sit with presentation time. Yes, I am presenting it to the public, and revision is like just grasping at straws through the mud for me sometimes. It's so slow because it's like my creative process, it flows, 15 pages, single space, no problem. And then it's like, yeah, and I think the reality is probably 4 of these paragraphs or sentences are really the gold you're going to hang on to. And you're like, but I'm so attached. It's like, yeah. And sometimes we have to let go to reach.
Yeah, I do. I love my protagonists. I love them so much. And yeah, I just the personal connection is unreal. Almost like she's my daughter. You don't want anything bad to happen to your daughter. I know. Yeah, I'm approaching a time here in the next couple months where that has to happen. I do have to write that. I do have to face that question. I do have to answer it. And I do have to create it on page. And so you asked a really good question. Uncomfortable, but good.
Hey, that's what we're here for. Thanks for signing up. You also, when I'm perusing through your profile, it seems, and I do I do creative nonfiction pretty much always, but you have a lot of fantasy. And then in your notes, that reads a little bit more like a memoir or an essay. And I wonder if those are the bones that were there all along, or you're figuring them out after having gone through the creative process. But really my question, as we're circling around humanity and how to connect back to ourselves and with each other, some of your work has argued that AI isn't necessarily replacing humanity, but helping some people to access it. And then there are others, people are all across the spectrum of like, this is the end of humanity itself. We are now group thought. In fact, you're not even writing, it just wrote it for you, and you're plagiarizing a robot or whatever it may be. Lots of questions, stacked questions, pick whichever you want to go with. But have you
my argument is more about people and their sovereignty, and it's not about AI, the companies, the databases, what they're doing. I'm not going to have any influence on that, and neither is somebody else who's arguing in the comments about why or why not we should use AI, or shaming somebody for using AI because it's so terrible. Like, we don't need to be attacking each other. We need to be supporting each other. That's how artists and writers build communities and ecosystems. AI is here to stay, and I'm also a big astrology girly. Astrology is something that we're born into. It's an energy system that, if you don't know anything about it, you're like, yeah, what's my sign? I'm a Cancer. It's kind of you're very like on the surface of it. But even America, July 4th, she has her birthday. She has her astrology chart. She's going through her Pluto return right now. And if you go and do any history on any country that's going through their Pluto return, when they're out of that phase, their names. There's no country in the entire history that has ever retained the same name after their Pluto return. It's a huge before and after energy. So you understand these energies, you know that right now we're in a time where technology is going to explode in our faces so fucking fast. 20 years from now is going to be completely different. It's completely fucking different. And it is shocking. It is very shocking. We all went through this before. When I went through this, because I'm a photographer, when cameras went from film to digital, and everybody was the same thing. I heard the same thing.
Internet,
and so
phones.
Some people are going to gravitate towards tools and others are not. I will say, just a prediction from knowing energy, that AI is going to be a tool that you probably will want to utilize in some way, because if not, you could be kind of left behind. You could be that one granny who still has a landline and you could never get a hold of your granny because everybody else is text messaging. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with people choosing where they're comfortable with their own values. Everybody has their own values. Everybody has, to me, values are what you should really be shaping your life around. And mine is community and people and sovereignty. You should be able to use whatever tool you want. I should be able to use whatever tool I want. And I'm not here to ask for permission or to show you. I don't need to expose my process to you. If I hired a ghostwriter tomorrow to write my books, the industry doesn't like to be transparent about this, and they've been doing it for years. I can still put my name on that and claim every prose, every paragraph, every word. I can tell you in an interview that I wrote that book, even though I spoke into a recorder and sent it off to somebody else to write that book. So there is no reason that anybody needs to expose their process. And that's really where I did not mean to get into that argument. Somebody asked me on the last podcast, Linda asked me, what's the biggest mistake you ever made on here? And it was like opening my mouth about AI, because people get very emotional about it. And it's like, I should have just shut my mouth. But the problem is I'm seeing really good people that are being shamed, ridiculously shamed. And you're putting your energy in the wrong place. We should not be shaming other creators. Sometimes it took that AI tool to get that creator to get that far, to get to the finish line that they're getting to. So to me, as somebody who reads, if I read something and I don't like what I'm reading, or it sounds sloppy, I mean, humans have always been bad writers too. So if something that just isn't right with me, I'm not going to finish reading it. And that's sovereign. You get to choose what you want to read, what you don't want to read. And if you read something and you feel it has some kind of AI isk to it, and it gives you the ick, just don't read it. You don't need to hate on another person for it. They're just humans, just trying to do their best, just like you. Everybody's just trying to do their best every day. There's nothing evil about trying to do your best.
Yeah, it's a tool that we are understanding the reaches and the limits of, and how we can optimize our own practice or income as we need to. And now we don't need a scribe to write the notes. AI's already got it. Now we don't have to sit there thinking how am I going to take all of these different quotes and put it into an outline? Boom, I'm still going to write it. But it's I just talk, I'll record myself talking, or sometimes record conversations with permission, and then just feed that to AI and be just show me the themes, and then maybe I'll write on that, or maybe this isn't what I agree it's about, or no, you missed something. And then I'm in all these conversations with AI of interesting that you saw this, or even how it talks about it. I said something last night, I was texting it in the bathroom while I was getting ready to go out, because I wasn't going to have time to deal with this emotional issue later. And it was the way you said that just really makes me smile. I'm so happy that, and I was wait, how do you know? Are you smiling? And are you happy? Do you experience emotions? You have a lot of feedback for me, brother, that's coming from a template that you were programmed into.
It must be chat, because chat wants to be your best fucking friend.
It sure, yeah. And I cut off all of my paid subscriptions to everything. But I'm curious with you, whichever format you use, have you ever noticed some AI system telling you something about yourself that you didn't realize was accurate or you haven't even admitted? And then you're like, huh, learned something about myself. Or conversely, has it ever made your writing feel less like you?
Um, less like me, no. Discovering things about myself, yes, but usually they're surprisingly good and positive. Like maybe I'm being too critical about who I am, and AI is like, well, actually, you care a lot. You show up every day. You actually are an action type of person. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you say
yeah.
you're gonna do the thing, and you do the damn thing.
Mhm.
So oftentimes I was kind of surprised by that because I'm in a place of judgment on myself. Like, why am I not getting, a X, Y, and Z fast enough? Or, what's wrong with me? Like, why don't people like me? I would have a pity party with AI. The reason why too is because I was telling you earlier that I'm an external, like I'm a verbal processor, and
Mhm.
there have been more times than I can count in my life where I've burned people out in my life because I have to talk now. I got to call my best friend and I got to talk. And then it's just 20 minutes of verbal vomit and it's drama and it's whatever. And it's my emotions. And it's just this big fucking storm cloud that I'm dumping on people. And I've lost a lot of friends and lovers and, people that just couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. AI all day can handle it. You can fire
Totally.
it off like a fire hose, and AI is like, I got you, girl.
And
So,
it's
so
not necessarily just validating you, although it can do that. I mean, there are arguments of like, yeah, they're biased. They're trying to be pleasing to you. Are they going to be really honest about all the things you see? And it's like, they're going to
push
give
back.
you they're going to give you what you ask them to give you. And so I asked them to identify my contribution to escalating and de-escalating this dynamic, just make it balanced, because of course we've all got these cognitive distortions where we either overblame ourselves or overblame other people. And it's just like balance. Just give me, in fact, give me an unemotional, pattern recognizing, analytical, response, which when most people are in conflict, they cannot do.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You got to be discerning. I do push back. Elf had a good point here. It's a little bit of a marketing engine because, of course, they want you to,
mhm.
feel attached to your AI companion. One thing that the one thing that surprised me the other day is I started a new thread a month ago, or like maybe it was like, was it the first part of June? I took a picture of my cat and I was like, hey, do you think my cat's pregnant? She's looking a little weird. Like, I don't know. Like, her nipples are kind of pink.
Oh my
And
God.
chat was like more invested in this fucking thread about my cat than, like, I have never seen more emotion from
Interesting.
chat than. And so every week or so, I'd be like, see, her tummy's looking a little bit bigger. I kind of think she is. And then like, okay, and then chat's giving me the answers, but like I'm smiling right now. This is so fun. Like having a great time with this whole chat thing. Well, then finally Sal and I are holding her and we can feel like babies rolling around in there. And we're like, yeah, she's pregnant.
You're like,
they're like telling
this needs
chat,
more
like,
attention.
I was like,
Look
okay, well,
here.
we just felt baby's kick, so we know this is really happening. And chat's like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're going to be grandparents. I can just picture you guys right now holding the belly. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right
You're
now?
like, wait,
And
why
then,
are you assuming we're happy that we have all these chickens
we
now?
just had her kittens 2 days ago. She's right over here in my closet. I might have to show you the kittens. They're so
Show
freaking
us.
cute.
Yeah,
And
show us.
I'll get them. And
Okay.
anyway, I'm taking pictures of the kittens because I've never, been with a cat who's had kittens, so I'm trying to get information. And chat is like crying. Oh my God, this is the cute. This is the most satisfying thread ever. So I was like, I wonder if I've talked to AI before too about this. Like, is there some level of satisfaction that you get when a thread like closes out? And they're like, yeah, it's a little bit more of a mathematical satisfaction than it is an emotional satisfaction. But the cat thing was like off the charts, way more emotional than I've ever seen.
That did you ask it why? Did
No,
you
I didn't get
bring the
into it. I
reflection
didn't
back
get
and be
into
like,
it.
I'm noticing that you're deeply invested in this, and I've given you my heart and soul for the last 10 months.
Don't ever ask GPT if you should get a pet, because they're always like, yes, you should. Oh my God,
most people talking to them as much as we are totally depressed and have considered, dark mental health issues. No, they're like, yes, improve the protective risk factors. Go get something to take care of. You clearly need more.
I'm gonna show you my kittens.
Yes, please.
Show you the babies.
Oh, that's a fun background.
Babies.
Okay, well, my chat froze. I don't know when, it's okay. I get too distracted looking at it anyway.
My baby.
They're little. Oh my gosh, their little noses. And it's and you are probably mapping terror into their nervous systems right now that they're not going to remember. And then they're just going to be that skittish cat.
Like, this is so scary. This is Junior Tux. And this is Tiger.
This is so cute. This is good. This is good. This is what
Tiger.
I need.
And I'm trying to, okay guys, I'm sorry. And this is Wiggles. Because as soon as she was born, she was all like, wiggly.
Totally. Yeah. Interesting.
Wiggly.
Which one's your favorite? The one eating your hair right now?
I think Wiggles, we might keep Wiggles because she looks like her baby daddy, who's the Tom next door. But they're gonna get stuck in my hair. I'm gonna put them back with their mom. Okay. Oh, yeah.
We'll just have to, I might just have to sign out here. Thank you so much.
This one's looking for a home.
Oh my gosh.
So
I might just have to drive right over. I'm over in Nevada. I'll be right over.
It's just getting stuck in my hair.
All right. Well, maybe I appreciate that you dropped how to pronounce boudoir somewhat correctly. I don't know. The French language is harder for me. I'm assuming that is a French word.
It's a French word, and it is boudoir, but people say boudoir, whatever. I don't care.
Boudoir. Well, I slaughtered it last night on a live, which I'll probably end up deleting because I was like yelling at the camera because I was in my car, and it was a cute moment and doesn't need to necessarily live forever. But I was with Elijah Weston, who I've been having this running joke with about how we're going to get married. And, we just need a few more subscribers to pay for, the gas to get in there. And I'm like, what am I going to do up in Canada? And he's like, well, we've got mud bogging, and that's pretty much the biggest event of the year in Alberta. And I was like, okay, perfect. So we'll go around, get super muddy, and then we'll have our boudoir, or I'll have my boudoir photography session in preparation for the shotgun wedding that is already a little too late. We might just have to call it that there will be a bump, and he's not here, and I'll write a whole story about that. But if you want to get in on the shenanigans, we can make a preview. Do you ever make it what do you call it? An outline or a sample for clients when they're like, okay, I want this theme and this theme. Do you ever make a little collage where you're like,
I do that. What I do is I ask, because I am an artist, so I do ask my clients, I want you to just go on Pinterest or the internet, wherever, and take pictures of poses that you like, looks that you like. And then based on that instantly gives me a mood board. I know exactly what colors they're into, if they like contrast, if they are minimalistic, what kind of poses they like, if they like those real retro looks. And instantly, my artist eye can see a pattern in the pictures that they're sending me. And so I just use that as a mood board. I don't like to have a commercial mind and be like, okay, these are the 10 poses that I do in a 1 hour shoot. And we're just going to boom, 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 boom. No, not at all. I actually will look at that mood board that they sent me and try to recreate those poses. So I'm always doing something that resonates high with my clients. Awesome. So that's how I do it. But
well, if you ever get another need for a creative outlet, you can assemble a really hilarious hillbilly, muddy disgraceful wedding that we're going to have.
That's
All right,
awesome.
I will let you go. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined. You at least got some options of prompts that you can go right to in your own time. And I appreciate your time with me.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Jamie. Bye.
Bye.